Good evening from the Rooster Inn Observatory. I am using Stellina tonight to see if we can do a mini Messier marathon with Plan My Night. I pre-programmed 18 targets beginning with M42 Orion at 10 minutes each. The first target is expected to trigger in less than a minute at 7 p.m. And then every 10 minutes Stellina should save the target and go to the next one. And that's what we're going to try to see if that happens. If all goes well, we will be here till 10 o'clock, 3 hours, 18 targets. So let's see if Stellina triggers within the minute. It is 7 o'clock. Plan in progress. Pointing at the target. Okay. So far so good. It found the target. Last night we tried this exercise with DWARF, and DWARF getting targets in literally a matter of 15 seconds tops, hopping to a target and centering it and starting the stacking. Now we are 1 minute and Stellina is still trying to find the target. Capture starting. Okay, we have Orion in sight. So far so good. I am using two receivers here, the cell phone to display and my tablet to control. It was easier to create the Plan My Night on the tablet than on the cell phone. My computer is refusing categorically to connect to two devices at the same time. It used to do that routinely in the past. We're halfway into the 10 minutes. Now we will see if Stellina will switch automatically to the next target. We are 9 minutes, approaching the 10-minute mark. Let's see what happens in terms of the switching. 10 minutes. Okay. This is a known bug. It's talking about capturing Orion Nebula. We're done with Orion Nebula. We have moved on. It's taking close to 2 minutes to switch targets. Yesterday, DWARF was switching targets in under 30 seconds. But there was no mechanism to automate DWARF. I had to do everything manually. I don't know what Stellina is doing. Okay, it's starting capture, good. Alright, there we go, M78. Took just over 2 minutes. So we are left with the balance of the 10 minutes to image M78. I don't think so. I've operated Stellina in a lot colder weather than this. Right now the temperature outside is 29 Fahrenheit, just below freezing. Call it -1 Celsius. The Stellina takes about 1 to 2 minutes to find the target and start capturing, compared to DWARF that takes about 15 seconds. So every 10 minutes on the zero, we can expect Plan My Night to switch targets. If all goes as planned, we will hop targets for the next 3 hours, which will give us only a fraction of the total Messier catalog. If tonight's experiment is successful, it will give me incentive to program the full Messier catalog into one Plan My Night, and plug Stellina into an adapter and let her run all night and see what she can do, how many of the 110 she can capture. I have had Stellina for just over 2 years actually, and since Seestar came onto the market, I am more likely to turn to Seestar than to turn to Stellina. I ran some direct comparison between the two, and I'm a lot more likely to set and let go set and forget telescope for Seestar than for Stellina. Unfortunately, the Vaonis seems to no longer make Stellinas and they're focusing on Vespera. Okay, there we'll switch again, 10 minutes, going towards M1. Okay, they fixed the bug. It's showing Crab Nebula. Okay, this is a pleasant surprise. Stellina acquired a target in under a minute. In all fairness, Stellina will do a much better job at the Crab Nebula than Seestar ever will. Stellina and Seestar have comparable field of view, just about 1 degree by 40 minutes. And both Stellina has a 6 megapixel sensor, Seestar has a 2 megapixel sensor. And both of them stack and process. However, Stellina has one big advantage, and that is field rotation. The sensor rotates. Seestar is strictly an alt-az telescope. Today I am highly unlikely to want to travel with Stellina, but I can grab Seestar. It's a tiny little box. Actually, it came with a hard case to carry it with. It is not much bigger than a laptop. Actually, it's smaller than a laptop in terms of length and width. It is thicker, a lot thicker than a laptop. So ever since I got DWARF and Seestar, I have not taken Stellina anywhere outside the house. Stellina used to travel with me everywhere. She had a good year and a half being an only child. So Jim, to answer your question, Stellina was a good telescope for the price 2.5 years ago. I do not regret for a moment buying Stellina. And if Vaonis were to introduce a Stellina 2 or an improved version of Stellina, I am likely to buy it. I have been underwhelmed with Vespera. I do not own one. I do not expect to own one. It just does not fit anywhere in my toolkit. But back to your set it and forget it question. Stellina today is the only scope that will take a plan my night where I can program a long list of targets and let her go after them one at a time, which is what I'm testing tonight. I have not heard of Stellina 2. I don't know. We heard of a Vespera 2, a Vespera Pro, and a Vespera Passenger. But nothing about a Stellina follow-up. You may recall when we had a chat, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, whenever we had our long chat about Stellina, it was the only game in town, the only true smart telescope, especially with a dew heater, which Vespera does not have. You have to attach externally, you have to attach a hygrometer. It has a field derotator, the sensor rotates. It remains the only telescope short of large observatory telescopes, which has a sensor derotator. It also uses some level of artificial intelligence to eliminate Starlink trails. And it does extremely well with its stacking algorithm, and the choice of a 6 megapixel sensor was the right choice to go with the 3-inch aperture. So they did everything right with the Stellina. The only complaint I have now is that Stellina is 4-year-old technology. The Raspberry Pi in it, the processor is slow for today's technology, and the memory in it is not ample. And I don't know if they can compete with a $400 telescope that does essentially everything. Everything that Stellina does. This is a pretty good rendering of the Crab Nebula for only 10 minutes. One thing that DWARF and Seestar do that Stellina does not do is pipelining the capture and the stacking. Alright, it has the wrong name again. Don't know why it does that. It has M35 here, which is correct. Okay. For some reason it showed the Crab Nebula a minute ago. I am using two devices here, one to control Stellina and one to display. I did not know how well Stellina transferred the Plan My Night program. I created the Plan My Night on the tablet because it was larger. Okay, this is good. We found the target in under a minute. This is very, very good. Stellina started a bit slow, taking 2 minutes to find the target. Now we're down to only 1 minute. Actually under a minute. Quite a bit under a minute. The plan my night shows the location of a target, both in terms of elevation and azimuth or orientation. So I can plan an entire night. And the only problem is it does not allow me to copy or edit a plan my night from one night to the next. Or if it does, I don't know how to do it yet. But that would mean I could program the entire Messier catalog in the order in which the galaxies rise, and then be ready to just set and forget and see if we can hit 100 or so galaxies, or I should say Messier objects. I made sure I have a thumb drive formatted and plugged into Stellina. I don't know if or where it is saving the images at the end of each 10 minutes. It really does not matter because YouTube is archiving the entire video, so I can always go back and look at them. But I'm curious to see if it stores them into the tablet or onto the thumb drive. When I saw the announcement of Origin by Celestron, the only thought that came to my mind was Kodak doubling down on wet film cameras, saying that digital cameras are a fad that will pass. For some reason, Celestron is insisting on packaging old technology and calling it modern. For one thing, they used a very old sensor. They used an old telescope They recycled and used an old mount, and they put them together, and they called it state-of-the-art Origin. I have not tested one. I do not plan to test one. The price is really out of my range for what it's offering. I do not see the value of a Hyperstar or an f/2, an extremely fast scope for what we do for deep sky astronomy. But I was very disappointed. I had high hopes for Celestron to introduce something that will compete with Stellina and Seestar and DWARF, but they blew it completely in my opinion. Now, if you look carefully, and I don't know if you can see the individual stars here, but we have some reddish stars and some bluish stars. And in that sense, Stellina is trying hard to replicate the actual emissions from the stars. M35 is indeed a colorful cluster with both younger stars and older stars, hence the reddish and the bluish. If all goes as planned with Plan My Night, as soon as we're done with this episode at around 10 o'clock, I will see if Galaxy NGC 4216 is within view, and take a look at the supernova in it. Took a look at that with Seestar, and it looked very nice. Looked at it with DWARF last night. I'd like to look at it with Stellina. At 10 o'clock, 4216, NGC 4216 will be due east at 17-degree altitude, so that'll be a good shot to take. There is no moon for us to worry about tonight. Jim, no, I like the Equinox too. Actually, I've been very, very tempted to get one. It, for one thing, it has a 4-inch aperture, which I like. It has autofocus built into it, and it seems to have many of the features that I would be looking for in a smart telescope. My only hesitation right now with the Equinox is the overwhelming body of reviews that criticize the quality of workmanship, the manufacturing of the Equinox. If you do a web search, more people than not refer to it as a cheap assembly, cheap material, cheap scope, and that is my only hesitation. The price is reasonable, especially if you do not get the Pro version, the one with the Sony eyepiece, which I do not need. So we discovered with the singularity that if I X out and get back in, it will have the correct name of the target. That is another very quick capture. This is nice. Right now I'm holding out till April. I have high hopes that ZWO will introduce a Seestar S80, or better yet an S100. If they introduce a follow-up to the S50, that will be my next acquisition. If they give us a 3-inch aperture or a 4-inch aperture, then Seestar will become very readily usable for planets, in addition to all the good things it does with deep sky objects. If they do not show up at the Northeast Astronomy Forum in April with a new telescope, then I will probably turn back and look at Equinox again seriously and take the plunge and get an Equinox 2 and buy extended warranty with it, which I do not usually do with telescopes. Sorry, I misspoke. It's $4.99. High Point Scientific has them in stock. I read an article today about using the Seestar S50 to contribute to a University of Kent program on hunting outbursting young stars, HOYs, and how to capture the data with the Seestar and process it. The author of the article provided a Python script that will automate the processing of the data and submitting it to the HOYs project. I have been contributing to HOYs but had not used any automated tools. So now I'm going to look into that article and see how I can automate data capture and submission. When I saw the Seestar S50 at the Northeast Astronomy Forum last April, I placed my order immediately, following the old saying, bet on the jockey, not on the horse. I had used the ZWO cameras forever and never had a problem with any of them, enjoyed them a lot, so I figured if they are venturing into the telescope world, then they must be doing a good job, and they did. Some of the surprises with the ZWO is it does not pre-calibrate when you ask it to go to a target. It assumes that it's pointing north when you turn it on, and it goes to where it thinks the target is, takes a snapshot of the sky, plate solves, and based on that finds the target. So you can put the telescope down and point it in any which direction you want, and then it will know after the very first target, it will know what it's pointing at and take it from there. I was also surprised that they have a filter wheel built in. 3 filters that are built in. One of them is a dark filter, so it takes darks automatically before every session. Whenever you go to a target, it'll say, hold on 1 second, it'll take darks right there and then at the ambient, at the prevailing temperature, and then subtracts those darks from every frame that it captures. It also has a light pollution filter and an infrared filter, so you can switch between them for nebula or for galaxies clusters. It has an autofocus. It comes with a solar filter. When you spend your $4.99 plus free shipping, you're getting a solar filter with it that works very, very nicely. So, and it comes with a what I think is an extremely nice tripod. I like the tripod quite a bit. So all in all, I do not regret for a moment getting, I spent $400 when I ordered mine, pre-order, and it has exceeded my expectations. It does a very good job stacking. Now, I'm not going to jinx it, but we have been up and running for 50 minutes and I have not seen a single satellite trail, so let's hope it stays that way. No. Would I wait for an upgrade? We could be waiting forever. There'll always be new telescopes. Since I received my Seestar S50 on October 1st, we're talking about 4 months now, there have been multiple firmware upgrades and app upgrades that have improved the instrument dramatically. I was extremely pleased and surprised by how responsive the ZWO engineers are. We post comments on their Facebook page of things that we'd like to see, and They simply show up in the next release of their software. Now, in no other industry can you expect to pay $400 and get all the hardware with free unlimited lifetime software upgrades, except in the astrophotography world. This is M37, it's target number 5 this evening. If Seestar puts out, I don't see them putting out another 2-inch aperture scope. The one that they built is good. If they go to 3-inch or aperture, if they go with an S80 or S85, they're going to be forced to use metal gears as opposed to the plastic gears that they have in the current device. I don't see them carrying the weight of the additional glass with plastic gears. And we have heard of people who have stripped their plastic gears because they forgot to remove the solar filter when they told the scope to go goodnight and to close. So while it was closing and it jammed on the solar filter, it just stripped the plastic gears, and the scope turned into a nice paperweight or doorstop. We asked Seestar to give us the option of removing all the legend off the screen so that the image can go full screen. They gave us that. We asked for the ability to zoom in and out onto the moon or the sun. They gave us last week the zoom feature, 1x, 2x, 4x. We asked for time lapse on moon and sun. They gave us that. We asked for horizontal calibration. They gave us that. Oh, by the way, forgot to mention, but Seestar has a built-in compass and a built-in level, so it can tell after staring long enough, it can tell where north is. It has built-in GPS, and it can tell whether how off level the scope is, because it relies on level to find the sun when it cannot do plate solving. I really do not see them doubling down on the S50. My guess, and this is only me, the only reason they called it S50 as opposed to just Seestar, plain old Seestar, they called it S50 because there is a plan to introduce S other things to differentiate among them. And to me, the only logical next step after S50 is either an S80-85 or an S100. If they go from 2-inch to 3-inch aperture, they are doubling the light capture capacity of the sensor. And that will be a good step up. However, my rough estimate is while they are selling the S50 for $400, $500, there is no way that they can sell an S80 for under $1,800. Just the scaling is gonna increase price 3 or 4-fold. Tripod has to become much bigger, and the plastic has to be replaced with brass most likely, or some other sturdy metal, and that's going to require bigger motors to drive them. The autofocuser is going to require bigger hardware. They're going to need a bigger sensor. I don't see them getting away with a 2 megapixel sensor when they go with a 3 or 4 inch aperture. Yes, it is. The Northeast Astronomy Forum is April 21st this year. Eclipse is April 8th. I expect to be in Oswego, New York on April 8th covering the eclipse, knowing very well that we have a 52% chance of clouds that day. By the way, if you have not seen my recent Objective 406 series of short videos, you may want to check them out. I stumbled upon a 15-foot observatory with a 16-inch Meade telescope inside it at the State University of New York in Oswego that is underutilized. And I have been revamping that scope so I can use it for deep sky imagery. Well, good luck on your trip to Texas. You're certainly going to have much better luck there with clouds. What hardware are you taking with you to Texas? Is that with a neutral density filter, a white light filter? Okay, we have been running for an hour now. We covered 6 targets. Stellina has performed flawlessly. The only hitch is the name of the target does not update automatically. I have to get out and get back in, and that is a price I'm willing to pay at this point. And one remaining uncertainty is what is Stellina doing with those pictures? Is it storing them, saving them on the tablet or on the thumb drive inside the telescope? The 10-minute separation among targets is too long for a Messier marathon. We're going to have at most 12 hours of darkness. That's 720 minutes, and with 100 targets or 110 targets, We have to drop down to about 6 minutes per target. Jim, you have time to get yourself a Seestar. They will ship it overnight. They have them in stock. And that's going to be a lot easier to carry. It comes with its own ND filter. And you can carry it in your carry-on bags or carry-on luggage. No packing and no worrying about calibration to find the sun or alignment. It'll do all that for you on its own. I used to have an 8-inch Edge HD Celestron, and that's the best telescope I ever owned, by far. And it was a beast to tear down and reassemble whenever I traveled with it. If I got my 10% commission on each of those sales, I would have had enough money to buy my own scope again. If you have time, you may want to check the few videos that I did comparing Seestar to Stellina and comparing Seestar to DWARF. Stellina still has a slight edge, but I would not carry it with me to Texas. By the way, a couple of days ago, the sun was shining, and I wanted to see if Seestar can track the sun during totality. So I covered the lens with a black piece of cardboard for 3.5 minutes and then removed it. And sure enough, Seestar did not lose the sun. It stayed with it, even during presumed totality. One major inconvenience with Seestar is that the solar filter is friction mounted as opposed to magnetically mounted. The DWARF has a magnet to hold the solar filter, so you can remove the solar filter without jerking the scope. And many people plan to remove the solar filter during totality and then put it back on. That's going to be tricky, if not impossible, with Seestar, because the solar filter fits into the objective. It squeezes in very, very tight. You need 2 hands to take it out, and that's likely to jerk the mount off track. Yesterday proved a major disappointment. I had done a Seestar Messier mini marathon earlier this winter, covered 55 targets in 5 hours, and each and every single one of those images came out nice with Seestar. Last night I attempted to do the same with DWARF, and I was so underwhelmed that I quit after a few hours and called it a night, even though it was a clear night. DWARF just did not do well with its 1-inch aperture. This is where one has to look carefully about the trade-off. People say it does not matter how small your aperture is as long as your sensor is big. And when you compare 2-inch aperture with 2 megapixel sensor on Seestar versus 1-inch aperture and 6 megapixel sensor on DWARF, the glass wins over sensor size. While DWARF was able to hop from target to target in 15 seconds and start capturing, what it ended up capturing was incomprehensible gibberish. Nothing like what we're looking at right now from Stellina. So Seestar has been extremely good at keeping the stars round. If you want to look at the star roundness among the 3 smart telescopes that I have, Seestar wins it over Stellina and it wins it over DWARF. Stellina claims to have artificial intelligence that will detect satellite trails and discard the frames. And until I see otherwise, I have to believe that that algorithm is working. You can do that. I went the other direction. I bought a glass filter for Seestar. I believe it's $20-some on Amazon, and then I had to get the holder for it. There is a gentleman in England who makes Seestar filter holders that he sells on eBay Global Post for 15 pounds, $18. I paid $18 including shipping, and I got it in a few days. And then I got the ICE ND 100,000 glass filter for 26, I believe, dollars. And the two together have given me a solution for the problem, so I can put these in and take these out much more easily than the filter that came with Seestar. And when I compared the glass filter to the film, to the Mylar film filter, the quality of the glass filter, the quality of the capture was visibly superior. Okay, target number 8, M47. So we've had 2 nebula and a bunch of clusters so far. I don't know if Yes, we will have some galaxies later on. We have Leo triplet M6566. We have Bode's galaxy and Cigar galaxy M81, M82. They'll be coming up later. No. I got some good images of the nova in M51, Messier 51, and the past couple of days I've been getting good images from NGC 4216. Yeah, I don't think Betelgeuse is gonna nova in our lifetime. It'll be a nice sight because it's not too far. Jim, when you find yourself in Texas, keep an eye for comet 12P Pons-Brooks. It is going to be near the sun during totality, just a little bit to the left. My goal is to have a telescope, it's probably going to be Seestar, and see whether we can do plate solving during those 3.5 minutes to image the comet while my hydrogen alpha filter, my H-alpha telescope, Lunt LS50, stays on the sun. I'd like to hop off the sun during totality and see if I can image the comet. Another interesting trivia for during totality is that 7 planets will be lined up not too far from the sun. They'll all be in a line on the ecliptic, starting with Neptune, Mars, Saturn, and Venus on one side, with Mercury, Jupiter, and Uranus on the other side. Stellina is again showing some very nice red stars and some bluish ones. The 3-inch aperture on Stellina allows in a Messier marathon kind of exercise, allows us to hop targets in a matter of only 2 or 3 frames being stacked. This is 3 minutes, and that's plenty. M47 is not going to change much if we stay on it much longer. After last night's disappointment with the dwarf, I had mixed feelings on what to expect from Stellina tonight. But she has really exceeded my expectations, and you are looking at a $4,000 instrument. It does well what it is supposed to do. We may have chatted 2 years ago about what pushed me over to buy Stellina. It was an article by a NASA scientist or NASA engineer who said that in his entire career designing and building observatories for NASA, this one telescope has everything in it that he has ever built in an observatory. Everything from sensor rotators to dew heaters to filters, built-in filters. And that pushed me over. Camus, yeah, I remember you mentioning getting it. I hope you are putting it to good use. Now this is a bug that I'm going to point to you. It is still showing M47, and if I go out and go back in, it changes to M46. Let's see if I can report it to Celine and have them fix it. 90 gig of data. Alright, Stellina decided to re-autofocus. I put it out an hour before we started imaging to have it acclimatized to the temperature, but she has decided that the temperature has changed enough that it was time to refocus. When we start looking at Stellina versus Seestar, There are things that Seestar does well. The Sky Atlas is very, very nice. The automatic taking of darks before every session is nice. The autofocus on Seestar is a lot faster than Stellina's. Yeah, I am with you on all those points. I have used Stellina at -20 Fahrenheit without any problem. Remember, Seestar has plastic gears. Stellina allows you to rotate it and to open the arm and close the arm without any problem. Seestar, don't even try moving the arm. And the way it screws into the base, into the tripod, yeah, I've had it loosened on me and I had to retighten it before it fell over. Glider Rider, your what fell over last night? I hope you're talking about the telescope. Did Seestar fall over because it unscrewed from the tripod? Or did it fall over? Ah, okay. My Seestar almost fell over when I had it plugged into an adapter and the wire froze to the table, and Seestar tried rotating with the legs frozen to the table as well, and fortunately it yanked the cable out of the socket versus tipping over. It almost brought the scope down, but fortunately it was rotating in the right direction, so the cable slipped out instead of bringing the telescope down. This M46 is looking very nice. Good evening, Australia. I have programmed Stellina to do 10 seconds per exposure and to spend a total of 10 minutes per target. I used Plan My Night. Stellina, I think, allows me to go up to 25 seconds exposure. But if I recall correctly, Plan My Night does not allow us to tinker with all those parameters. Stellina has a light pollution filter built in. I have not tried putting other filters on it. It does have solar filters. Glider Rider, my scope sits on a large plastic picnic table, so if it falls, it's plastic on plastic. I do not put it on concrete pavement or anything hard. You missed my rant on the Celestron origin a few minutes ago. When I saw the specifications, the only thought that crossed my mind was Kodak doubling down on wet film cameras, claiming that digital cameras are a fad that will pass. And if that is the first thought that crossed my mind when I saw the Celestron origin, you can imagine where I was going with my thinking. It's an old sensor, it's an old tripod, it's an old mount that they are recycling, and for all intents and purposes, it's an old scope. At least when you look at the DWARF, or at Stellina, or at Seestar, they went with an original design where they leveraged the mirrors to get the light from the outside, from the targets onto the sensors. Celestron, through a massive lack of imagination and probably head in the sand attitude, I doubt that they played with Stellina or DWARF for that matter before they put on the market a product that is very, very expensive and really does not answer the mail. Now, Stellina was extremely original. DWARF has the two cameras built in, the telephoto and the wide angle. That is an ingenious idea. I grab the DWARF whenever I want to image the moon during daytime or the sun, and I can get onto them in no time. Robocop, you are correct. You can change sensors, you can add filters. There's a lot more hardware customization that you can do with the Celestron Origin. But I think that defeats the purpose for those who want to get into astrophotography without the hassle of older technology. And please do not misunderstand me. I have a Celestron Edge HD 11 on an equatorial mount, and I'm always tinkering with it. I recently discovered that I can focus by moving the camera instead of moving the mirror and get much better focus, and I like that. Origin has a bigger aperture and much faster than any of the smart telescopes on the market. Two days ago, all of China went on vacation for the new year, and Seestar on their Facebook page posted a notice that they are going to be out of reach, out of pocket for 2 weeks. And I posted a comment on their notice wishing them a happy new year and asking them when are they going to unveil the Seestar S80. And they replied by posting a heart on my comment. It was a heart, not a finger, so I'm relieved there. But there are rumors, and I did not start them. Cloudy Nights has been tossing them around, and people have been guessing on the details of the design of an S80. That is likely to be my next purchase right now. I'm waiting for the Northeast Astronomy Forum in April 21st. Last year in April at the NEAF, ZWO unveiled Seestar S50, and right there and then everybody was saying they called it S50 because there are others in the pipeline, other S's. Glider Rider, care to elaborate? What do you mean you heard the rumor from Seestar? Are they announcing an S80? Did they mention an S80? Okay. The chatter on Cloudy Nights focused on the gears. People are guessing that the gears will have to be brass or metal of some sort as opposed to plastic, given the weight of the glass. They also mentioned the tripod. They mentioned the sensor. They believe that it'll be a newer and higher resolution sensor, but the software is likely to be very, very similar to the S50. So I'll take my credit card with me to the NEAF, and my guess is a An S80 is going to be in the $1,500 range, $1,500 to $1,800, which will deliver a telescope far superior in performance to the Vesperas, and possibly comparable to Stellina, if only they would introduce a new Stellina with a faster processor and more memory. And right now Stellina is 4-year-old technology. Well, I thought you were going to buy the S50 before the solar eclipse so you can take it with you to Texas. Okay, for all of you guys who have a smart telescope, I'm going to post a link of something that I discovered recently and I purchased. Amazon is selling a 100-watt USB-C adapter that will power Seestar, DWARF, Stellina pretty much forever, and the price is all of $19, $18.99. I'm using one to power my laptop through the through the USB-C adapter, and I expect I'm getting a second one to power the telescopes with it. I suspect you paid more than $18.99 for the EcoFlow power bank. The latest firmware upgrade on the Seestar, actually it's the app upgrade, whichever, turns the battery blue if it's too cold outside for the battery to charge. With the big however, it diverts the current from the adapter directly to the instrument as opposed to the battery, and bypasses the battery, which is what I wanted it to do in the first place, which is what Stellina allows us to do, because Stellina, I take the battery out and plug power directly in. I had dreamt actually of going to Australia for a long time. There is one Aussie citizen that I have admired ever since I was a teenager. Actually, I have even written about her. You may recognize the name Elle Macpherson. But now I am unlikely to be going to Australia. One thing I'd like to do with you guys is, if you want to team up to image southern hemisphere galaxies that we do not see from here, like Tarantula and others, and then we can stream them simultaneously, I'd love to do that. Athol Bain from New Zealand has also been bugging me with well, she's yeah, Elle is pushing in the years now, but I do remember when both she and I were a lot younger. So if you ever want to do a joint project, either targets that we can both see or targets that only you guys can see, we can try to find a way to stream them from Australia all the way to my YouTube channel, so people in the Northern Hemisphere can enjoy them as well. Yeah, before I retired, there were two opportunities for me to go to Australia, and both were scuttled for some reason. Which hemisphere has the best targets? I have to say that the targets in the Northern Hemisphere have been better documented. But there are certainly lots of good targets in the Southern Hemisphere that I'd love to image. So we're just over halfway into this exercise, and it has been a smashing success. Unfortunately, I don't think we're doing any targets that are 30 to 60 million light years away. The bulk of the first half of the Messier catalog, at least this order, the order in which they are rising on the east here, the majority are in the Milky Way close to us. To my knowledge, Stellina, other than adding external filters and software upgrades, I am not aware of any direct way to upgrade the hardware inside it. By the way, I don't know if you guys are aware or familiar with the websites or the company telescope.live. They allow you to rent telescopes in Chile and Spain and Australia by the hour or by the target for not much money. I used to subscribe to them a while back. Pre-Stellina, I used their telescopes often to get data on targets that I could not get here, and then decided to terminate my subscription and save the money to buy Stellina. They have a fairly complex accounting system to charge for telescope use. Yes, I've thought about Vaonis Titan. Don't see it fitting right now. If I had worked an extra year, I would have afforded it, but I don't think they're making them. I don't think they've built any. Hyperia slash Titan, I don't know that they have built or sold any. I had conversations with Celine from Vaonis about it and could not answer the most important question of can you leave it outside year round in adverse weather or not, because I don't see me moving a 160 or 180 pound telescope in and out of a concrete platform, and I don't imagine putting it in a domed area, because building a dome for it will probably cost more than the scope itself. M44. This should be the last cluster in the Milky Way in this session tonight. And next one we're going to be moving into Leo, the constellation Leo, and they will be 38 million light years away. So far tonight, the past 13, this is the 13th target. There was very little, if any, improvement after the first 2 or 3 minutes of capture, suggesting that I can easily cut down from 10 minutes to 5 minutes, which is what I need if I were to automate the entire Messier catalog in one night. So I'm curious to see what the next the remaining 5 in this session will look like, since they are all going to be in the 38 million light years away range. And as soon as the next 5 targets are done, I plan to go to NGC 4216 to look at the supernova. And then we'll call it a night. So we're going to be up for another hour or so, finishing the Messier mini marathon. So we're getting about 6.5 minutes stacked per 10-minute interval as we hop among targets. Okay, we should be done with the King Cobra with M67. Okay, 32 million light years. Now we're going to have a series of galaxies. We covered clusters and nebula earlier. Now we're moving to galaxies. M95, M105, and then 65, 66, and then 81, 82. M95 is only 7 arc minutes in size. Magnitude is 9.7. And this is where a 10-minute exposure may not be enough to show the galaxy. As I look at the magnitudes of the various targets that we covered tonight, they range from magnitude of 3 for the Beehive cluster M44 all the way to 10 for the next few targets. So I may want to adjust the total exposure time based on the magnitude and not go with a straight constant of 10 minutes per target regardless of where they are. Yeah, we don't see much of a galaxy in here. And for some reason the 10 minutes of elapsed time resulted in only 5 minutes of stacked time. M95 is another galaxy. We had very good luck earlier with the nebula and clusters, since they were all in the Milky Way, a matter of hundreds or thousands of light year away. Now that we moved on to galaxies that are 30 plus million light years away, 10 minutes does not seem to be enough. This does look like a galaxy, but 10 minutes certainly does not do justice to it. So we have 3 more targets. And then at 10 o'clock I will turn Stellina towards NGC 4216 to image the supernova SN 2024 GY. So we have two more galaxies to cover, and we'll be done with this experiment of 18 targets at 10 minutes per target using Plan My Night. By my assessment, this has been a very successful exercise. Stellina moved from target to target flawlessly. She averaged a minute to a minute and a half between targets to slew, plate solve, and start the capture. It autofocused only once, about halfway. I have yet to recover the images from the thumb drive to take a look at them and see what they are. I wonder what that nebulosity is that is showing up near M105. This appears to be NGC 3389. With NGC 3384 right above it. So this appears to be NGC 3384, and this is NGC 3389 with M105 in the middle. The remaining two targets are the Leo triplet and then Bode's galaxy and Cigar galaxy. Singularity has NGC 4216 in its catalog, so that'll make it easy. And the Leo triplet. Unfortunately, by going for M65, the third galaxy of the triplet, NGC 3628, is outside the image, outside the frame. Next time I'll remember to go after M66 instead of M65. And the last target of the night. Well, last target of this Plan My Night series. Once this is all over, I will recover the thumb drive from Stellina and verify that I have 18 images, one per target. Next step for me is to find another clear night and program the entirety of the Messier catalog into a Plan My Night. And let it run alone all night and see what we get in the morning. At my location at 43 degrees latitude, should be able to get about 104 of the 110 objects in the Messier catalog in between sunset and sunrise. Catching the first object due west within half an hour of sunset, and then riding the sky all the way from west to east to try to catch the last object within half an hour before sunrise. And this is the end of the plan. What does Stellina do next? I am not aware of a 6-inch RASA other than Origin. Epic Tomato, stand by for a second. Uh-oh. Stellina closed the arm. She has had enough. Okay, I did not expect that at the end of the plan. Let's initialize again. Okay. After we initialize, we're going to go for 4216 to look at the supernova. The Celestron Origin is indeed a 6-inch aperture RASA telescope. Mark, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. I had picked up the 4216 on Seestar, and we will see what it's going to look like on Stellina. I can already see the supernova. Apparently, it was discovered by Koichi Itakagi from Japan on January 4th. This is interesting. Seestar got a lot more definition of the galaxy a lot sooner than Stellina, even though Stellina is a 3-inch aperture compared to Seestar's 2-inch aperture. We're going to give it time to see how much more detail the galaxy will get. The supernova is the bright dot at the 5 o'clock of the galaxy. Let me see if I can point to it. This is the supernova. Let me put a little arrow on it. Okay, you should be able to see the arrow pointing at the supernova. If you have not played with OBS Studio, I highly recommend it. This is what I use for my streams, and it has proven very useful. I'm going to give 4216 another 15 minutes and then call it a night. I have an early morning tomorrow. I will be heading up to Oswego to work on the 16-inch telescope. I got the dome of the observatory working properly, and I got the 8-inch mid working properly, so now it's a matter of putting all the drivers and trying to move the big 16-inch in unison with the dome. Once we got that working, then we have to choose what camera goes on it, and then start imaging the skies with it. If you're interested in following my adventure in rehabbing an all but abandoned large telescope in a big observatory, you can follow my weekly series Objective 406. Every Wednesday I drop a video that summarizes what I've done. I'm working there in a volunteer capacity, but once that thing is operational, it's going to bring amazing fidelity to planetary imaging, as well as contributing to the HOIS project, the hunting of young, the hunting of outbursting young stars. If you're not familiar with HOIS, you may want to check it out. I'm preparing a video to describe what HOIS does. It's University of Kent in the UK. They are imaging, we are imaging, since I'm part of the team, 18 targets in the Milky Way where young stars are being born. Several of the targets are in Orion and near it. We're taking images from about 85 locations around the world, imaging the same targets over and over, and dumping the data in a big database to observe any changes that might be occurring in those young star clusters. This is what the supernova looked like on Seestar a couple nights ago. We are at 12 minutes capture on Stellina. We were only at 18 minutes with the Seestar. I am hard pressed to consider the quality of Stellina's image to be even remotely comparable to Seestar. This is a surprise. I expected Stellina to give me a better image than Seestar, but it did not. The image in the inset is unprocessed. No post-processing. That was directly on the Seestar on the tablet, not even downloading the TIFF, but that was the real-time stacking that we were watching. Hi David, good to see you. If you just joined us, we are about to sign off. We have been up and running for 3.5 hours testing Stellina Plan My Night, in which Stellina went through 18 Messier objects back to back at 10 minutes apiece without missing a beat. And I thought before we call it a night to take a quick look at NGC 4216, and I was surprised and shocked to see that Seestar did a better job than Stellina on that particular target. Mark, Vespera Pro is going to have, I believe, the same aperture as Seestar, but a superior sensor. I look forward to comparing notes with you when you get it. We were chatting earlier about the S80 and where and who started the rumor. I did a quick Google search for Seestar S80 and I found quite a bit of the traffic on Seestar's own website. Both the Facebook page and the website. So keeping my fingers crossed that in April, during the Northeast Astronomy Forum, that they will unveil the S80. In which case I will skip the Vespera Pro and go with the Seestar S80, assuming by then the sensor will be comparable to Vespera Pro, but the aperture will be twice as big. 3-inch versus 2-inch gives it a surface of twice as big. It is time for me to bring Stellina in. Thank you for joining me on what was a very pleasant night, and hope to see you again soon. In the meantime, so long from the Rooster Inn Observatory, and we'll see you tomorrow night, probably earlier than that. We'll see what the sun brings us. Good night, and David, the video is archived, so you should be able to watch as much of it as you want. In the meantime, so long from the Rooster Inn.